Okay, so it's recording. Yeah, so just a quick video today, kind of a training vlog. I'm going to do a bit of training after this, but I don't think I'll record it. I just kind of wanted to go through the process of motivation, goal setting, and why I do what I do, in the motivation behind my goals, and I suppose explain my story behind it and what I've seen working with clients. And just being able to see that, motivation process of goal setting and actually it turning into more of a drive and a healthy obsession, I suppose we'll say, in how driven people can get towards getting and achieving their goals, whatever that may be. It's different for everyone. We'll go through a bit of it, but I don't have anything wrote down. I just kind of want to flesh out my thoughts on it, and if anyone gets value off the back of it, by all means, it's cool. But more so for myself, so I'm just more articulated on it, and I understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I suppose I'll start with my fitness journey, or whatever you want to call it, whatever kind of motivated me initially to start into training regularly, working out and getting into weight training. So it was the summer of, I think, 2016 when I was going to college. So I think it was definitely 2016, and I was always the scrawny person in school, kind of lean build, ridiculously high metabolism, not much muscle mass, not that I ever worked on it, so like that, it was just kind of something that I never really bothered with. Just wasn't part of my lifestyle to be, interested in weight training, and I just kind of got that drive. I suppose in the summer I finished the Leaving Cert, and I just kind of got that drive. I wanted to put on a bit of muscle, I wanted to look better, I wanted to feel good about myself, wanted to be more confident in my body, and be stronger and things like that. And the initial motivation, you just want to look better, you want to feel better, and a lot of people start out with that motivation initially, and you can obviously dig deeper into it. Like I say, if you ask yourself 3 times why you want to do that. So I wanted to look better. Why did I want to look better? Because I felt insecure about being scrawny. Why did you feel insecure about being scrawny or lean? Because it was, it's more in your head, I suppose, than anyone else's, in how much you're thinking what other people think. And that's what I cared about initially. And I suppose I wanted to change that. And that's what a lot of people's motivations are. And obviously, if you dig deeper into it, it feeds a lot into insecurity. And maybe not so doing it for themselves, but doing it so they'll impress other people. And I'll admit that was probably my way of starting into what motivated me to get stronger, get bigger, and train consistently in the gym. Now, I wouldn't say that was the right reasons by anyone. Like, I always try and encourage this with clients, that you're doing something for you when you're doing a goal, whether it be performance based, aesthetic based, whatever you want to work on. I would always say, kind of make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it for yourself, because if you're doing it to impress someone else or impress other people in general, you're likely always going to be disappointed in the outcome, because no one's going to appreciate or be grateful for the amount of work that you've put in, apart from you. So do it for yourself, essentially. But yeah, I suppose going through my story, it's kind of evolved over the years. Like, I would always be insecure about my body, and I started out at about 62 kilos, not a lot of muscle at all. And in the first summer, I think I moved up to about 65 kilos, and I was obviously noticing a bit more definition in the muscle, kind of feeling better about myself and feeling that bit more confident. And it was only a few kilos at the time, but I felt much more confident as a person as a result of it. And then I kind of got the obsession from there. I think that's why, anyone that is, has initial goals and they think they're ambitious, I'm like, just give yourself about 8 to 12 weeks is usually the time. Could be sooner, depending on your starting point or how ambitious your goals are. If you give yourself about 8 to 12 weeks of hard, consistent work, it'd be very hard not to see some form of progress. And from there, it very much becomes I call it a healthy obsession, because you don't want to go back to the initial point where you started at, and you're always pushing forward to something else. So it locks you in to be able to always push on for the next thing, as opposed to get demotivated from lack of seeing results or something. Which a lot of people don't, they don't stick it out long enough to see that initial bit of results, and then they'll give up, or they do something, and they'll do something like maybe a crash diet or something. They'll go extremely low calories with something maybe, or high calories if they want to put on size and muscle, or low calories if they want to lose fat and things like that. And they'll do it in their 8 weeks, but they don't actually apply a lifestyle to it. They don't apply habits. They just kind of stuck to a formula of a program that it didn't really suit their lifestyle, and it took a lot out of them to do it, but they seen the end in sight. They're like, okay, after 8 weeks or something, I'm going on a holiday, I'll get that picture where I look lean, and then I'll go back to eating shitty foods and not training again. So I think you very much have to incorporate into your lifestyle and have a strong why behind it, if you're going to go into a goal. So that's why I say do it for yourself as opposed to doing it for anyone else as well, because if you're going to be doing it just to impress that one person, or do it to get that one picture or like social media or something like that, it's going to very much the gratitude and the appreciation for it is very much going to diminish straight after doing it. Whereas something long term, like doing something for yourself and then being able to maintain it, motivation doesn't really come into the question then. It's very much a drive. It's something that goes on without question. It's like brushing your teeth every day. It's just something that has to be done, and you appreciate the process through that. So you're training every day, or you're eating the right diet every day. You know why you're doing it, and you have a strong why behind it, and then that takes away much the equation of motivation, because certain boxes have to be ticked to perform and maintain what you're doing. And I think that's very much like the approach to go for when you're setting any goal. And in terms of setting the goal, like, you don't want to be, the way I put it is, you want to find that healthy balance of ability, but also the I suppose the ambition to carry out the goal. So like, say how ambitious the goal is and your ability to actually carry it out. So say if it's very ambitious but you don't actually have that much ability to do it at the time, like that's like someone who's maybe a bit overweight, and they're looking to run 100k marathon or something, ultra marathon or something like that, and then they want to do from 0 to 100. It's going to be very overwhelming very quickly. So you don't want to do something that's too ambitious for your ability. You want to pick down in small steps and then break it down from there. And you also don't want to do something that's like not very ambitious at all, and you have more than enough ability, because you're likely to get bored in the process and then not even bother with it. So you want to get that sweet spot of actually matching your ability with your ambition, and then being able to consistently hack away at it. And the goal will evolve exponentially from there. Like you'll start out with something like, maybe you want to lose 2 kilos in weight, and then you hit that goal, and then you are like, okay, I'm going to keep the ball rolling here, I want to lose another 2 kilos and another, and you keep chipping away at it, instead of saying I want to lose 2 stone straight off the bat. That's a lot to do without actually appreciating the amount of workload and time that goes into it, and then it can get very demotivating, even if you're like you lost a stone, but you're like, oh, I'm still not, didn't lose that 2 stone, and then you can get demotivated and revert back to your old habits, because you're like, oh, I'm never going to get that 2 stone because it took so long to get the first stone. So you want to be able to hack away at it in small bits consistently. But yeah, I suppose motivation is kind of a silly one as well. Like, it's like, I see a lot of people with especially with social media, I suppose, comparing themselves to people with perfect bodies on social media and perfect performances. You're seeing the absolute extreme ends of the bell curve on social media, and that's not healthy for the average person, because most people are average. We're doing average things, like, and you're seeing absolute specimens of their niche, whatever that be bodybuilding, it could be a certain type of training, if you're, as I was saying, ultra marathons or something like that, or you're seeing some incredibly fit CrossFit athletes or something like that. Anything you were interested in, basically, you're seeing the absolute pinnacle of performance on a daily basis. And if you're feeding that into your brain, you will think you're not you don't have a hope of getting there. But it very much starts with taking one step at a time and only comparing yourself to yourself. So I would always say that with clients, if you're looking at someone else and not appreciating your own progress, then you're likely not going to appreciate the journey, and you're not going to stick to it the long term as well. So I would always compare yourself against yourself. Theodore Roosevelt's great quote, comparison is the thief of joy, and that's very much true. Like, if you keep looking at externally for that gratification or something like that, it's going to dwindle your motivation and it'll eventually diminish entirely, and then you'll start back doing the bad habits that you had set out before you even started the goal. So there's a lot to take into account in relation to how you set your goals and the mindset you approach it with, because it's fair enough looking at someone on social media with 1 million followers and they have the perfect body and something like that, and then I often find I've worked with mothers who have 2 kids, they're working a 9 to 5 job and they're balancing bringing their kids to training or something in a sport straight after their job, and they find a 20 to 30 minute window in their entire day where they decide to do a workout or they do a run, and they'll be hard on themselves. They'll be like, I didn't do a lot today, but I'm like, look at the bigger picture. It's like, because it's very hard for my age to appreciate obviously the work that goes into it, but it's ridiculous. Like I consider myself to be incredibly privileged and to be at nothing essentially. I train maybe twice a day, and if they find that 20 to 30 minute window in all the work that they're doing over across the day, like, it's ridiculous. It's so motivating for me to see that, because I'm like, that's what hard work looks like. It's not like me doing my stupid little 2 workouts a day thinking I'm good. Like, it's very much I would say that's more motivating than the people that are posting their perfect body selfies on Instagram with their 1 million followers and all that, and that's what people are focused on naturally, because obviously that drives traction. But the work that's being put in by the very average person is incredible, and once they start appreciating that and realising how much effort it actually takes for them to get that 20 to 30 minute window of exercise in a day, they actually realise how amazing they are doing. So it's very much perspective, and applying a healthy one to that is going to help someone in actually maintaining and consistently chipping away at their goals over time, because most of us are average people. Like, we're working our 9 to 5s, we're just finding those little pockets of time in the day that we can actually put towards our goals. Sorry, I don't know, the camera just stopped recording there, but I think that's most of the things I wanted to say on motivation and just relying on how you set your goals. Keep them in small manageable chunks that you're not overwhelmed or underwhelmed and get bored. Keep that balance in between them, and I suppose on the extra tough days, that's where it tests the mental strength. When you really don't want to do something is the days you often feel best after doing something. So pushing through those barriers, let's say, give yourself an 8 to 12 week window that you're going to really hone in on what you want to focus on, what you want to achieve. I'd rather nearly overshot it than undershot on what you think you can achieve, because then you'll always hold yourself to a higher standard rather than not actually fulfilling your potential, say, in that space of time. But keeping that in mind, I think that's most of the things I wanted to cover. It's kind of a ramble video. I didn't have any script or anything wrote down. I just kind of wanted to vent thoughts on motivation and goal setting in general, and hopefully someone will get value out of it, or even me looking back on it, I'll have a better idea of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So yeah, catch you in the next video.